Hello everyone. This is second video of the topic Essential 8, which we are discussing. As you know that the Essential 8 was developed by the Australian Cybersecurity Centre to help organizations build strong cyber resilience and reduce the risk and impact of cyber attacks. Previously, we discussed about the Essential 8 in terms of like what was the origin, what was the definition of it, why is it used, who can use this, and what are the different threats that are mitigated by implementing those cybersecurity best practices which Essential 8 offers. We also discussed a little bit about the purpose of it and the benefits that we can receive when we implement Essential 8 practices and what exactly those Essential 8 practices are. Today we will discuss about the maturity model, which is used basically a way to measure how well your organization is doing something over time. For example, if you are actually implementing cybersecurity practices, how well you are doing it? What's the impact of those implementations that you're doing on your organization's security infrastructure and security program overall? So in this case, in the case of cybersecurity, think of it like levels in a video game. At level 0, you're just starting out. Your defenses are weak and attackers can break in easily. But as you move up to the level 1, 2, or further, your cyber practices become more advanced, more consistent, and more resilient. The Essential 8 uses this model to show that how strong your defenses are against different kinds of attackers. Now, attackers can be from amateurs using like public tools all the way up to the nation state attackers with custom techniques. And more importantly is that what is their goal? The maturity model's goal is to help you understand where you stand today and what you need to do to improve yourself, improve the security posture of your organization to stay ahead of the threats tomorrow. So, to help organizations protect themselves better, the Australian Cybersecurity Centre has defined four maturity levels for the Essential 8 strategies from level 0 to the level 3. These levels measure how well your organization can defend against cyber attacks. But before we move forward, we will just quickly recap the benefits of the maturity model. This was discussed in the last video as well, so we won't spend too much time over here. So the first one is the self-assessment. As the name implies that you yourself get to know about the current state of your own organization. You evaluate your own organizations in a much structured way to, to evaluate the current cybersecurity capabilities. This will help you identify both the strengths and weaknesses rather than relying on an assumption or incomplete audits. The second is the roadmap. By knowing the maturity level, organizations can define a step by step improvement path which will prevent them from reactive efforts or scattered efforts all around to ensure that the progress is very measurable, prioritized, and aligned within the business objectives. Many cybersecurity regulations standards like ISO 27001, Essential 8, or NIST cybersecurity framework, they implicitly or explicitly reference maturity. A maturity model helps demonstrate due diligence and continuous improvement. Furthermore, are the risk reduction, resource allocation, and the benchmarking. The benchmarking is where the organizations can compare their maturity levels against industry peers, competitors, or the sector baselines. So, before moving forward, let's talk a little bit about the threat actor. Because when you are protecting yourself, it is important to know that who you are exactly protecting yourself against. So, a threat actor is anyone, anyone out there which is trying to do harm in the cyberspace using various tools and techniques, and understanding who they are helps you plan better defenses. A threat actor is any person or a group that intentionally causes harm to the digital systems, data, or networks. They are exactly the who behind a cyber attack. They are basically the who of any cyber attack. The ones trying to break in, steal information, disrupt services, or damage an organization. The how part is actually the tradecraft that is used by these attackers to infiltrate. So, threat actors have different types. There are amateurs, starting from the amateurs, who are also known as the script kiddies, all the way to the nation state actors. So, amateurs would be somebody with a hobby of hacking, somebody poking around with freely available tools. They do not have the skills or a deep intent. The cyber criminals, however, are financially motivated. They are the ones like somebody with the ransom group. They are actually the cyber criminals financially motivated. They would use phishing, ransomware, credential theft because their drive is the profit, the money. Then comes the hacktivists. They are ideologically motivated. They would be considered terrorists. They would deface websites. They would leak data. They would cause disruption. Then there are insiders. They can be disgruntled employees or contractors. They use legitimate access for theft, sabotage, or spying. Lastly, these are the nation state actors. Nation state actors are like government backed attackers, highly targeted, stealthy, and long term operations, for example, APTs. So, what kind of tradecraft at every level is being used? When it comes to cyber threats, not all attackers are the same. In fact, they fall into different categories, which we have discussed. Like the criteria of falling into a certain category would be who they are, what do they want, what is their motivation, and how skilled they are, what's their skill level. Let's talk about the amateurs. These are the beginners, the script kiddies who use free tools they find online. They are usually after low hanging fruits. Even the basic protections like software updates and strong passwords can keep them out. That's what the maturity level 1 covers. Then we got financially motivated attackers. Think of ransomware gangs or cyber criminals who want to make money. They often use phishing and stolen credentials, so stopping them means stepping up to level 2 with the things like proper multi-factor authentication and patching. Next are ideologically motivated attackers or hacktivists. These guys want to make a point, not money, and they can get creative. They may try more targeted attacks, which means you need level 2 or 3 maturity to stay protected. Then comes the insiders, employees or contractors who misuse their access. These threats are hard to spot and can be very damaging. You need strict access control monitoring, which falls under the maturity level 3. And lastly, we have the most advanced nation state actors or foreign intelligence services. These are highly skilled, well funded, and very patient because they are looking at their victims or potential organizations which they want to hack in the long term. They target governments, critical infrastructure, and big companies. Even level 3 maturity won't stop all of them, but it gives you the best chance to detect and respond quickly. So, depending on who your organization might attract, you can use Essential 8 maturity levels to build the right kind of protection. So, what are these maturity levels? Maturity level 0, 1, 2, and 3. So, the maturity level 0 means the security controls in your environment are not effective. You may have some controls in place, but they are not stopping any real world threats. There will always be gaps which exist that attackers can exploit at a maturity level of 0. The maturity level 1 would be the basic protection. You have taken some steps to defend unskilled or like opportunist attackers. This would be our script kiddies. So at this level, they may be kept at bay. At this level, what we expect is that your organization is doing the basic patching, and there are some controls around the administration accounts, but there are still weaknesses. Level 2 is like strong protection. Controls are very well established, and the defense uh, is also high around the more sophisticated attacks. You are closing off common attacks paths like phishing and ransomware delivery. The level 3, it's the robust and the most resilient one. In this level, your organization is protected against advanced threats, targeted, persistent attackers. Even they will have difficulty in finding the gaps and getting into the your environment because the controls are strictly enforced, monitored, and tested regularly. So this is just the summary of whatever we discussed. For example, the threat attacker amateurs, they are also known as hobbyists, students, script kiddies because they are using freely available tools. They do not have any deep motivation and they do not have the skills also. So any kind of basic protection, patching, multi-factor authentication, they can like stop them. And this will be considered at a maturity level of 0 to 1. And then we discuss the financially motivated, ideologically motivated insiders. And one quick snapshot of this slide will be very helpful for you to understand the entire spectrum of what's happening around the threat actors. Who are we exactly protecting us or organizations from? And what is the maturity level that we need to protect against certain level of threat actors? Okay. And thank you so much for this, for watching this far. And in the next process, since we have now discussed the maturity model and we have talked about the what exactly the essential eight is, in the next process, we will guide you on how to do the assessment, how to identify that your organization is a maturity level 0 or a maturity level 3 organization. So stay tuned and do not forget to like or subscribe this video and rest of the videos also because your small actions will keep us motivated to create more content which can be beneficial to you and many others. Thank you so much.